the main thing that I've learned from Bill is how to deal with difficult people, and he does it splendidly. Uh, and there's like a million other things, and it's all like interpersonal communication stuff, and like how he deals with people. And like he's taught me some smithing stuff, but that's not as good as like the life stuff that he's taught me. He admittedly told me he's like, well, I'm kind of hard on you, but I'm hard on you because I can see there's a lot more potential there. He's like, and you're not going to get to that higher potential unless somebody's pushing you. So, good on him. I kind of love the grumpy bastard.
Welcome back to Create and Connect podcast. I'm your host, Tom Breslin of the Phoenix Woodshop. Today, my guest is Brett Onnink of Burning Sky Forge. While his forging is a full-time pastime, he is fully involved in forging in both the Indiana and Ohio area. He was a contestant on season 5 of Forged in Fire, and today he helps instruct forging in the maker community, including Warrior's Way, a veterans-based program. I'm excited to connect again with Brett. Help me introduce him to the podcast. Welcome, Brett.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being part of Create and Connect and
Absolutely.
taking the time. And you were very patient with me under the Forge tent after lunch, working with Matt and the other guys. And I tell you, the what was that, 2 years ago, that was my prize souvenir.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, and any maker event that I go to, I bring it with me and I show people the railroad spike knife. And while I know you said you do them nonstop and it takes you a short order to do it, that was perfect for my hand, my little tiny hands. And then I was able to chase down Jason from Diomedes Industry, and he had a sheath already made up. And
oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
It fit perfectly, too. I was like, what are the chances?
Yeah, no, it was meant to be. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that was great. So
it's super rewarding to do that kind of stuff. I work with people. We have an open shop where I work out of, and it's every Tuesday night, and it's just people off the street. They're like, hey, this is a project I'm working on. All that stuff, man, that's great. I really enjoy that a lot.
Now, you were working with Jeff, who's a part of Warrior's Way.
Yeah.
Are you anywhere near him?
He's about 2.5 hours east of me. He's in Lima, Ohio.
Yeah, where are you? Indiana?
I'm in South Bend, Indiana. And Fort Wayne, geographically in Indiana, is like the far east side. It's right there on the border of Ohio and Indiana. And I think they're like 45 minutes beyond that. 45 minutes. If my wife was driving, it'd be like 20 minutes. But yeah, we talk all the time, and I'm still involved with Warrior's Way to some extent. So that's good. Yeah.
Are you
very
a vet?
Good people. I am not. I have a son. I have all my nephews and my sister. They're all veterans, and they've all served in one capacity with one or another. So, and my wife is from a military family. She has cousins that I think they're still in. I think she might be like a major general or a general by now, but she's been in like for life. So yeah,
that's awesome. And how'd you get hooked up with Jeff and Warrior's Way?
Well, it all started with a cat named Adlai Stein. He has the Central Ohio School of Metalwork, and he was trying to figure out a way that he could do something impactful to help the local veteran community. So he decided he was going to do what's called a grudge match, and he's going to have a bunch of former Forged in Fire people who were contestants on the show compete in his shop. And, they kind of hyped it up. And then the knives and stuff that we would bring with us and the knives that we'd make there, we ended up auctioning off for charity. And it was like a really cool event. And that was about, let me think here for a minute. It was the second or third year they did it in Columbus, Ohio. And then Warrior's Way started their own shop in Lima, Ohio, which would be about, hour and a half just west of Columbus. So then they just started doing it there. So you got to meet and hang out with a bunch of people who were, had this similar experience with you on Forged in Fire, but you could, take your experience in Forged in Fire and really use it for like a positive experience for veterans there in the area. So I thought that was really cool. Easy to get behind.
Yeah, very, very cool. Now, what about the shop that you're involved in now?
Yeah, it's an old Irishman's shop. He's like, I think he just turned 80, and he's been slowing down a lot. But I started working there 15 years ago, and he's very much a tough love kind of guy. A lot of people don't particularly learn well the way that he likes to instruct, and for me, it was just like working with my dad. To be honest with you, I'm like, okay. So he's really unhappy, but Yeah, and that's like 3 miles down the street from where I'm currently at. And it's a co-op thing for me now. Now I just pay him for the space and use his shop, and I bring in new tooling and stuff. If there's stuff that I need to either purchase or build in the shop, he has no problem with it being in there and stuff. So it's been a really good experience for me getting to know this guy because he's a world of information, and he is kind of an old, I don't want to say artisan possibly, but old fabricator blacksmith where he wouldn't do like the traditional stuff, like we have the hot collars and rivet everything. He would just MIG weld it all together, but he would forge all the scrolls and stuff ahead of time, and then just weld them together for people to do gates and like railings and all kinds of stuff. It's gotten to the point with him in his 70s, he had to start saying no to people because there's people just showing up all the time. They're like, hey, we need this, we need that. And I never knew there was even a market for that kind of stuff. But, he came into blacksmithing as a hobby, much like I did. But he worked in a hospital building like custom wheelchairs for people.
Wow.
He was a fabricator in that regard, but he didn't do like the actual like the forge and hammer and anvil stuff there at the hospital that he worked at. So I don't know, it's been a good deal for me. Yeah.
And you're doing this full time now?
Full time, part time? Is that a thing? Again, the further you go down the rabbit hole, the busier you become, right? So you want to try and learn early on to say no to things that really don't feel all that passionate about. So early on, you have to learn to try to say like no to certain things because that's going to limit your time for the stuff that you really love to make. So I could probably do it full time. It's just from an insurance standpoint and like this is all like adult talk. I mean, it's really pretty boring, but 401k and that kind of stuff, I wouldn't have any of that if I was full time. So I keep my foot in the current job that I have. It's a full time deal and it pays well. But I would really, really love to just do smithing full time, whether that's again like Bill at his shop doing like gates and that kind of stuff, or if it's just doing knives. I'm down for any of it. So yeah, hopefully soon. We keep talking about it. My daughter gets out of college in another 2 years, so maybe we're looking at that. So,
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you got to do the grind until, the bills are paid and,
right, you
you
kind
know,
of
you,
do the responsible thing.
yeah.
I had an interesting conversation with Chris Cash,
Hmm.
and he and I were discussing whether or not it was, is there ever a perfect time to like go and do it full time? And he said, no, absolutely not. You just have to do it and then just figure it out afterwards. And that answer, probably very honest, was kind of not appealing to me. So I'm like, well, I'm going to try and plan this out a little bit better. But yeah, Chris was good, full of all sorts of insight. So yeah, cool guy.
Yeah, I know that's great because you also need somebody who's realistic because
Yeah, right.
taking care of kids, they want to eat 3 times a day, whether you want to feed them or not. And then the college is just, yeah, I've got one graduating soon, and then I've got one the same. He's 2 years in, so he's got 2 more years to go.
Yeah. So you feel my pain then.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So, you were asking me before we hit record
Yeah,
about going to Tony Pep's shop.
yeah.
So on the way back, he and I went down to Papa Chad's White Trash Hacienda for the
My people.
yeah. It was he called it Sparks and Sawdust. So he had some woodworking going on, and he had some metalwork going on.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And at the end of it, he was giving away the Santa Maria barbecue. And I told Tony Pep,
Oh,
he offered to drive down, and he said, I'm driving down if you want to ride with me. And then Chad said he was giving away the barbecue at the end of the weekend. And I said, you know what? I would really like that barbecue. And it's not going to fit in the back of Tony's Cross Trek Outback. I confirmed with him and he said no. So I have a pickup truck and we drove that down, and it was a nice, smooth ride. It was great. It was a good time.
when you say
And
down, you're talking about Alabama?
Alabama. So
Ooh-wee.
he and I drove from New York to Alabama. So I'm on Long Island.
Mhm.
Tony's in Yonkers, so not too far north of the George Washington Bridge. And when we cross the George Washington Bridge, to me, that is everything encompassed. It's the South, it's the Midwest, it's the West Coast, it's everything.
That's great.
So we drove down, and I worked on the Santa Maria Grill, and everybody else who was down there either left or was flying, and I worked on it, quite a bit with Chris Verde from Green Money Fab.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Papa Chad said, "Well, Tom, I hope your truck is big enough because you're bringing it with you."
When you say you're working on it, are you cooking food or are you welding on it?
Welding.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you were following me on Instagram, you would see the stories.
I can't keep up, man. I can't keep. I'll admit that to you now. It's like I can't. There's only so many minutes in or hours in a day. And,
Good for you.
I would love to post a lot more content, but at the same time, it's like, do I need to? I don't know. It's always a constant argument with myself whether or not I need to post more stuff. But that being said, I can't digest everything that's out there either. And no offense, it's just,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
none
Okay.
taken because Tony and I we were 12 hours down one way, then we slept over in South Carolina, and then we did another 4, and then
Oh
on the
my.
way we did the same thing on the way back. We left Alabama, we dropped off Frank from Silent Mars off at the Columbus airport, and then we drove up to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and hunkered down for the night, and then continued on. So, we had this conversation about, you know, you can get very distracted and go down the rabbit hole of either good or bad on the internet, social
Oh, for
media
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
And my impetus for starting this was not, I need people to like and follow, and which would be great, but I'm not making any money from this.
Yeah.
Um, and the point of connecting with people, connecting with you at Maker Camp, connecting with Jeff, meeting new people, learning
Yeah.
new crafts, and being open to learning and seeing how other people share their knowledge. So Dave from DTB Fabrications, he was talking about, at one point he was the guy holding on to the information and not sharing it. And then
Yeah.
he talked to one of his mentors, and one of his mentors said, "Well, I can tell people how to get a 6-pack ab. I can tell them exactly how to do it. Yeah, are they going to do it?" And he goes, "Oh, good
Yeah.
point."
Yeah.
So
I have I have met some makers, especially in the knife making community. Like it's like their proprietary thing, and they don't want to share with anybody how they do their thing because that means now I'm training my competition. And I always chuckle about that because it's like, well, what you're saying is they can watch you do it once or twice, and now their skill set is going to be on the same level as yours. It's just not going to happen.
right,
So I look at that and be like, yeah, whatever. I can appreciate your cautiousness, but at the same time the stuff that I've learned, and actually have paid classes for and stuff, I would just as soon teach it to somebody who wants to learn it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think that's super fulfilling. And then they take the thing that you taught them and they kind of make it their own thing. That's where it's at. That's cool to see.
Do you have an example of that? Do you have a person that sticks out in your mind of who
Oh
you
yeah, yeah,
should?
sure. So 2 or 3 times a year, I teach down at the Cole School of Iron in Anderson, Indiana, and I teach an introduction to the forged blade. And what I've done is I've taken a forged blade and I've tried to pare it down to make it as palatable and easy to learn in one day. So it's got 5 forged elements, and we start at the beginning, and I show them step by step where we go through the process of making the knife. And at the end of the day, they have a hardened, a ground, handled knife. And it's been great because there's been people who've been in the shop there who are better fabricators and have a better eye at things than I have. So there was this guy from Indy. He was like a race car builder, and he took the class. When he was done, his knife was like amazing. I'm like, that's probably the nicest knife I've ever met or ever seen here. And he's like, well, once you get beyond like the introductory part of it, it's just using the hammer and then picking up on where the lines are. And you know, he's been doing this his whole life, so his knife turned out like the nicest knife I've ever seen in the class, and way nicer than the one that I made. But that's just. And then the next week, he's texting me. He's already doing Damascus stuff in the exact same style of knife. So that's just super cool to see. I don't know.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, it's real cool. And if you're holding on to all the keys and nobody can get
Right.
into the door,
Yeah.
sooner or later you're going to leave, and either you're leaving the set of keys there, or somebody's going to learn how to do it. And like you said,
Right.
with YouTube and other teachers. So what have you learned from your shopmate Bill that you haven't necessarily knew before, or learned that
Okay.
has helped you?
So the main thing that I've learned from Bill is how to deal with difficult people, and he does it splendidly. And there's like a million other things, and it's all like interpersonal communication stuff on like how he deals with people. And like he's taught me some smithing stuff, but that's not as good as like the life stuff that he's taught me. You know, he admittedly told me he's like, well, I'm kind of hard on you, but I'm hard on you because I can see there's a lot more potential there. He's like, and you're not going to get to that higher potential unless somebody's pushing you. So, you know, good on him. You know, I kind of love the grumpy bastard. So it's great.
Anything that jumps out front? Something come to mind of how to deal with people that he might have taught you?
Well, he has this a spectacular way to tell people like, no, we're not doing that. But he does it in a way that by the time he's done with the sentence, the person he's telling no to is like, oh yeah, that's great. Okay, fine. I understand. And he can just do it in a way that's just like he's getting his point across, but he's not being like super confrontational. And I don't know if he's just like a wordsmith or what, but he's just got a way about him that like everybody's like, oh, okay, that's great. You know, sorry, this isn't going to work out. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's great when you have the ability to tell somebody to go to hell and they look forward to the trip.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really. The other thing that he's been really good at is I learned how to forge weld in that shop, and I learned how to forge weld on a old coal forge. So you do it by hand, and you're doing like a 9-layer stack. And I spent all day on like one stack of forge welded steel, and I got done, and it was all pattern welded, and I was all excited. And he's like, "Well, I'm teaching a class in forge welding at the local steel mill to the maintenance crew." He's like, the steel mill's paying me to teach them blacksmithing, so that's what they wanted to learn. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So he wouldn't let them throw away any of the mangled Damascus that they made, all the failures. So they put it in a big 5-gallon pail, this metal 5-gallon pail on the floor. And then when the class was done, I'm back at the shop, and he's like, hey, you want to get good at Damascus? I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. He's like, great. He points at the bucket. He goes, that's all yours. If you can figure out how to forge weld that stuff, you're going to be a master at it. And for like the next year or year and a half, I just dug through that pail and found these little bits and pieces and cut them up and restacked them and learned how to reforge weld all that stuff. So now when I have failures or I'm dealing with somebody and I'm trying to teach them stuff and they're having failures, I can look at it. Yeah, okay, well, that's no big deal. You just, you know, from the experience standpoint, it's been really great. And I wouldn't have thought of that unless he like told me that he wouldn't let me forge weld any new material until I finished the pail.
Wow.
He's like, that's free. Screw that up. I don't care. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's
So I
awesome.
did. Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah. I really like, somebody to show you how to learn as opposed to tell you
Yeah,
how to learn.
yeah,
What are you
yeah.
working on right now that you're excited about?
Well, earlier this spring, I've got an order in for one of those big meat cleavers that I've been making, and this company started buying them from me. So I made them 10, and they were really excited about them, which is great. It's the Farm Smith Co. It's just a shop here in Indiana where they want to buy like handmade products. And he usually does axes and that kind of stuff, but I did these cleavers. And actually, at Maker Camp one year, he was there with the coal iron guys, Nathan. I don't know if you remember him or not.
I don't recall.
Yeah. And I traded him one of my meat cleavers that I made for a bronze hammer that he made. And I have this amazing bronze hammer. It's super cool. And he kept the cleaver, and he's kind of like one of those new homesteader kind of deals where
Hmm.
he bought a little hobby farm. He's got pigs and cows. Well, he decided he was going to butcher his own pigs, so he used a meat cleaver for that. And it worked so well that he wanted to, order more cleavers for his little company that he has. So in doing those 10, I realized like from a tooling standpoint, I needed to up my game. Otherwise, it's going to take me forever to make these things. So I went online and I found some plans for what's called the Kenyon pneumatic forging hammer. It just uses an air compressor and outside source. We fabricated an entire pneumatic forging hammer there in the shop, and actually it works really well. I was very surprised. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it is, but that should take the forging process and make it like maybe 2 heats probably. You know,
Wow.
heat the cleaver. So I'm excited about using this hammer on future endeavors just because it's super efficient.
How heavy is the cleaver?
I start with like a 4 pound blank, and then by the time I'm done forging it and grinding it, it's probably somewhere around 3.5 pounds. Yeah, it's 32 inches in length, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, 32 inches.
that's handle to head.
Yeah, right. Yep. The
Yeah.
blade itself is 11 inches, and then the rest is handle.
And now you were making them with the ring at the back at the
Yeah,
end?
yep, yep.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the ring is cool too. Initially, I looked at like the Chinese broadsword, the Dadao. This is just like bladesmithing nerd stuff here. I'm sorry if this is boring, but the Dadao has a ring pommel on it, and the ring pommel is amazing at taking vibration out of the blade.
Mm-hmm.
So I started putting them on the cleaver, and I'm like, well, this makes a big difference.
Oh
So
yeah.
the only trade-off is now because of the ring, it doesn't fit in my heat treat oven. So
How big is
I
the
can't
ring?
two and a quarter, two and a
Oh
quarter,
yeah.
uh, 2 1/4 outside diameter, and then I put it on the end of a what's the size of the blank? The length of my oven is 22 and a half, but if I go corner to corner, I get 24. But okay, so if I put the ring on, then it doesn't fit in my oven. So I
Mm-hmm.
leave the ring off until I heat treat it, and then I
Right.
braise the ring on at the end. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun making that. I'm developing a folding knife. I don't know if you're familiar with the Higo no Kami. It's the Japanese knife. It's just a friction folder. You can
Uh-huh.
buy them on Amazon for like 20 bucks or whatever, but they're super cool and I love them. So I decided I was going to make my own folding knife based off the Higo no Kami, and I'm having a machine shop right now make me some dies that
Uh-huh.
I can fold the metal body and then put the knife in between, and then rivet all that together, and then have an external spring like a slip joint pocket knife kind of deal, but the spring's external. It's just kind of like hugely mechanical, it's a little something different. I'm looking forward to making those too, but it'll be cool. I'll send you pictures when I get one done.
Yeah, that's exciting. You got a lot of exciting things going on. Do you sell these online, or this is just everything is word of mouth with for you?
They sell the meat cleaver online at Farm Smith Co.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy I'm making them for.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, a really good dude if you ever get to know him. He has an axe company. Excuse me, he has an axe company that he's making axes for his own company, but he's making them for companies like all across the country. So, these little truck axes to everything in between to great big, Tasmanian bit axes are really, really cool. He's developed all that stuff in his own little home shop there at his house in Anderson. I've been down there to drop off the meat cleavers. I don't know, he's a really cool dude. Yeah, so to answer your question, sorry, the cleavers are on for sale on his website.
Yeah. No, it sounds great that, you're constantly getting to know people and learn from them and them getting to know you and just
Yeah, yeah.
really jiving. You ever have somebody who is a student or anything, somebody who worked with you that, you really found something special that you ended up creating a better relationship, a stronger friendship?
Oh yeah, for sure. There was a local guy, and he's like 20 years younger than me, and he showed up at the shop one day, like out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, I need to learn how to do pattern welding." And I'm like, "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, I was online and they said I could come here and learn how to make Damascus. I need to learn how to make Damascus and canister Damascus." And I'm like, well, canister Damascus kind of isn't that great. I mean, it's on the TV show Forged in Fire all the time. And he's kind of quiet. He goes, well, I'm supposed to go on the show here in like 4 months and I don't know how to do any of this stuff yet. I'm like, oh, cool. So then it's like I put him through a boot camp of like, what it was like to be on the show. And I had him do like the 3 hour forging and I gave him like ridiculous stuff to forge. And he went on and it was a really good experience for him. So that was cool. And now we're like best friends. So we text each other like, I don't know, 20 times a day, probably just dumb stuff. Some of it's knife related, but a lot of it's just dumb memes.
So why is Forged with Fire so popular by you? Are they filming it there?
No, I mean, he was just a knife maker I'm right here on the border with Michigan. So, like 2 miles that way is Michigan, and he's on the other side of the border. So, he isn't that far from us. At the time, it was Forged in Fire in its heyday. So, what would that have been? 2019,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I think 2019 or 2020. It was just either before or right after COVID. So, I'm not exactly sure, but yeah,
Are they still
pretty
running
cool.
the show? Do you
I
know?
don't, I don't think so. And I don't really know what happened because they have a whole bunch of episodes filmed and they're
Mm-hmm.
done, but they just never aired for season. I think it's season 10. I'm guessing. I think it's season 10. Um, so they made a whole bunch of them, but they only aired like the first 10 or
Mm-hmm.
so from season 10. So I don't know if they just lost sponsorship or what. I'm not really sure.
Right. Well, I was going to say, with all this training and conversation that you're having with all these other people, you should be going on the show and trying to, go for the championship.
Well, I did that in season 5. So that
Oh,
would have
yeah?
been 2017, I think. Yeah. I went on with Bill Benke from Michigan. He's
Okay.
a old school knife maker that's been around like 30 years. The guy's like Yoda, okay? So he walks in and we're all like, oh, that's the file guide guy who's been making knives since the 80s. This is going to be great. But turns out Bill's super cool, and we hung out in the hotel bar and had a few beers and talked about life. It was great. The other guy was from Florida, and then one was from Georgia. It was an interesting experience for sure, and it occurred to me like a majority of the show was like TV magic kind of,
Yeah.
but they don't really say a whole lot. They just try and leave a lot for like interpretation for like the viewer to try and figure out what's going on. Yeah, like it was weird because you're on the set and you think it's a warehouse, but it's really just an equipment rental warehouse with no windows, and all the walls are like this weird cardboard with painted brick. You know, so like all of it's even the windows that they had up above, behind the set that were all backlit. That's all 100% fake. So it's wild.
But it sounds like you had a great experience overall.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was good. Um, and I think it was perfect for me because it was humbling. You know, you go on there thinking you're gonna set the world on fire, and then you go on there and kind of like poop the bed, and you're like, well, all right, I'm incredibly average. So it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Well, and you got to get to know people in the knife making world that
Right. Yeah.
get a little closer with, which is great.
Yeah. I got to hang out with Bill for a while. I see him maybe once a year now. He goes down to Hammer Inn that's down here in Indiana,
Hmm.
and I see him from across the room because he's really tall. I'm like, Bill. It's like talking to my dad. He's great. Love the guy.
That's awesome.
I think he's 70 now, 77, something like that. So every time I see him, he's got this really nice Samac pneumatic forging hammer, and it's got a pink polka dot base that he has it on. And every time I see him, I'm like, Bill, how you doing? And when we get out of the way, and I'm like, you gonna sell me that hammer yet? He's like, no, I'm still using it. I'm like, oh, okay. I had to ask.
Well, hopefully when somebody graduates, it'll be available for you.
Yeah, yeah. There's some property in the south end of town. My wife's in real estate, so there's some property in the south end of town. It just has a pole barn on it. And that's all it has. It's not near anyone, so there can't be any like noise issues or anything like that. So I am super excited about potentially owning a pole barn on the south side of the city.
How close are you to closing on it, or you make an offer on it?
Okay, so this guy owns a well drilling company, and he wants to buy like $1 million house with a huge pole barn on it to keep all of his well drilling equipment because he lives in this tiny little, 1,200 square foot house right now. But he keeps telling my wife, "I'll sell it to you when I can find the right house," and it's been like a year. But we keep tabs on the guy, and he keeps telling us, "Oh yeah, this spring, this spring." Well, now it's this spring, and we haven't gotten there yet either. I guess 2 years. We could wait another 2 years. It'd be fine. I don't know. But in my head, it would be awesome to have your own place. You can have your own stuff there.
Yeah. You store your motorcycles there too?
Here, there, and a little bit everywhere. I've got, hang on, I've got 4 of them in my garage right now. So
You can
I don't
only
really have.
ride one at a time.
I know. Uh, my old college roommate, his dad had passed, and he called me and he said, my dad wants me to sprinkle his ashes on this river up in Alaska, where he would go fishing at when he was in the military up there. And his dad was a retired colonel. He's like, I don't know anybody that would ever say yes to me. You were the only person I thought to call. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. So we start looking at, the logistics of it all, and it was like over 8,000 miles. And we're like, well, that's not ideal on a motorcycle. So we split it up and we trailered the motorcycles across the country, loaded them on a ferry in Seattle, and then took the ferry up to Haines, Alaska. What that was still 1,200 miles from where we needed to be. So we had to ride across Canada and Alaska to spread his dad's ashes on this river. And I tell you what, that was amazing. It was so good to get out and not have to worry about work for like a month. And I
Yeah.
was really surprised that they didn't fire me, to be honest with you. I'm like, hey, I need to go do this thing. It's going to take me about a month. But yeah, really good deal. Yeah. If
I
you ever have
saw
the
it.
opportunity, you need to go to Alaska, Tom.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I saw you shared it on Instagram, and it looked amazing. It looked like a lot of fun, and I'm glad that it worked out the way you wanted it to. That you were safe, and that that it was fun. I'm trying to log some more miles this summer. We'll see what happens, but
Yeah,
I'm
you're on a
hoping.
Harley Davidson, right?
Yeah, I got a street glide special, so I can go the distance on the road, the open road. Not too good for maybe dirt roads in Alaska, but to get out to Indiana, it could be good. I am planning on going to the Weaver uh, intensive class that they have June 19th and 20th. So I'm hoping to do that. And that's in Eastern Ohio.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure the town, but
You're gonna like make blankets and stuff?
I don't think it's blankets.
Oh, okay.
It's Weaver leather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
That's all right. I just,
Well, you're always welcome here. I mean, we've got a 5-bedroom house now, so
thank you. That's awesome.
yeah, we're right off of the 8090 exit 72. We're about 2 miles away from the exit.
Okay. Well,
So it's a
that's
major
not too
thoroughfare
far.
east-west. Yeah.
Yeah, not too far off of the George Washington Bridge, right? Just a couple miles.
It's the Midwest. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Pittsburgh, you've got Cincinnati, and there's
Yeah, but I mean, there's some stuff in between, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
What, Toledo?
There was a war fought over Toledo.
I heard. I heard.
Yeah, and then there's Fort Wayne. Yeah, and that's about it, I guess, and then South Bend. But you should come during football season. We should go watch a game.
Oh
Definitely
yeah,
do that.
that'd be awesome. I was out at South Bend for a basketball game. Manhattan College played
Oh wow.
Notre Dame, and this was back in 90, 92, 93.
Yeah, you were here during the winter.
It was a long time ago, a lifetime ago.
Okay,
Yeah, no, my goatee was solid black.
amazing.
So what did
Did you
any
play basketball for them?
no
I
no
need more details.
no, I was working for the alumni office of Manhattan College. It was right after I graduated college, and I
Okay.
went out to host an alumni event. And so we went out there, and I hosted it at like a pregame somewhere local, and then we went to the game.
Okay,
But
cool.
that was about it. I saw the field goal Jesus,
Yeah, touchdown
and
Jesus.
yeah, and then I saw the airport. That's pretty much it.
Amazing.
Yeah, my extent of Indiana.
Yeah, but it's nice and flat, and it makes it easy to crush miles on a motorcycle.
Perfect. Throttle down and head
Have you
out.
ever been out to Sturgis?
No.
I haven't either, but it's on my radar. I need to get out there at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but when I got back from Alaska, I found a barn find. It's like a 1976 FLH Electroglide. Great
Really?
big. Yeah, it's got like the touring pack on the back and the
Wow.
saddlebags and stuff.
Wow.
But it needs a little work, but I don't know if that's something that you go and hop on and ride 1,000 miles to Sturgis or not. I don't know. How does that work?
I don't know. You just throw your leg over and go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met a guy who is a motorcycle mechanic in California, and he has an FXR. And my son is out in California, and he's staying there. So I told my wife, I'm like, I might have to get this bike and keep it out here in California. So when I come out, I got something to ride. She thinks I'm crazy, but
No,
this guy.
that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I'm out there, I want a motorcycle to ride. I got one.
An FXR is a great choice too. That's a great bike.
Yeah, and it's made for the hills of Southern California. So they've got some great mountain roads to be on, and that bike was made for those roads. So hoping to do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
When do you think that's going to happen?
Maybe this summer. My son's graduating in May, so I'm going to go out for the graduation, and hopefully the bike is ready to go.
Yeah, got to make it happen, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good things that on the horizon.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, get these guys off the payroll, and let them learn how to feed themselves.
Yeah,
yeah.
Be productive.
I gave you an education, so figure it out.
Yeah,
I did my part.
that's good dad stuff right there.
Yeah. So, what's the new project on the horizon? What else are like that you?
I talked about those folding knives. I think I want to do that. I would say for the last easily, year and a half, I've been making my attempt to make the perfect 8-inch chef, and that's harder than you think. Have this pattern of an antique French chef knife. It's called a sabatier, and it's 12-inch chef knife. And I look at it, and it's like an engineering marvel. And I know it was made like in the late 1800s, but man, oh man, how do they get this thin? And how do they get the heat treat just right? And how do they get this bolster over here? I even brought it with me the year that I was at Maker Camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and showed it to a couple other professional knife makers, like Matt Stagmer, and I also had Josh Prince look at it. And I said, how did they do this integral like bolster here? It's weirdly shaped. I have no idea how they ground this or forged it, And Matt just shrugged. He's like, oh yeah, that's just a waterfall plant, no big deal. I'm like, oh okay. So I kind of took what he said, and I'm like, okay, well that's what Matt thinks. I went and got Josh Prince's input on it. He was like, oh yeah, that's just a waterfall plant, and that's not a big deal. I'm like, oh okay. So I've got to figure this out, man. And I've made like how I mentioned earlier there was like a bucket of mangled Damascus.
Hmm.
I've made like 3 buckets of mangled chef knives that just don't they're not good enough, man. So I want to get to the point where it's like I can make something that I'm super proud of, and and then start. I don't even know if I want to sell it. I've debated about just giving it to friends who would use it. I've met enough people who are like executive chefs and stuff. Where I could just give them one. I don't know. To me, that's way cooler than having to buy something online. But I
Sure.
don't know. So I'm working on the perfect 8-inch chef always, and I'm going to start on these folding knives here pretty soon. So I'm just waiting for the dies to come back from the machine shop. So yeah,
Wow. I really like and admire how much you want to give of your time and how much you're willing to learn and reach out and ask other people. I know Jeff Fetter is making chef knives.
yes,
And my brother's not listening to this podcast, so he's never going to hear this. I reached out to Jeff, and because my brother follows him. My brother's a big foodie.
yeah,
And he and I, when we get together, we cook. We like to cook. We know what we like, and we're going to share with the family, and we're going to sit down
hmm
together and have a good time. So we want to eat well, so we cook well. But my brother said, I really like this. He goes, you know that guy? Because I see you following him. And I'm like, yeah, I met him. And he's like, I wanted to buy one of his knives, but it's like, I'm not dropping that much money for the knife.
yeah,
So I was listening to one of Jeff's podcasts. He has a Full Blast podcast. And I just quick, DM'd him and said, can you do this? He goes, yeah, just go to the website, and because I asked him to put my brother's initials on it. I
okay.
said, either on the blade or in the handle. And he was able to do it. So, my brother's going to get it for May. His birthday's in May. And like I said, he doesn't listen to this.
That's amazing though. You're like a fantastic brother that you would be thoughtful enough to be like, hey, I know this guy. I can reach out and try and get it done with his initials on it. That's even like it's a chef's kiss. That's great.
Yeah, thanks. But I mean, that's what I think a lot of us as makers and creators and artists giving part of yourself. It's not just the gift. And
Right.
some people look down on it and be like, "Oh, you made me something? Oh, great." But when I spoke with Keith Drennan about working with family members, and they realize now how much time it takes to design, to source, to bang it out and make it where it's presentable to be a gift and be like, wow, that was a lot of work. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm giving you. I'm giving you my time that you don't realize is more valuable than going to the store and saying, hey, I got you a knife from Sears and Roebuck, and you know the name of it. But when you get a handcrafted, like to have a Damascus knife is so beautiful. And I know
Yeah.
what goes into it, not as much as you know what goes into it, but I thoroughly appreciate the artistry, the
Yeah.
patience, the time. I know that when we were at Maker Camp, you needed to take a break and have lunch. And if you don't force a break and you don't tell somebody, hey, stop, I got to eat, I got to get something to drink, you'll just work all the way through. And I've seen some other presenters do that, to their own detriment. It's like you're going to get hungry, you're going to get angry, you're going to get tired, you're going to make a mistake. But you took a break, you came back, and then you babysat me because
For me, it was just great meeting you. And to have 2 years later, we're back and we're doing this, man. That's the best. That's so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And that's part of the podcast. And I appreciate you saying that because this isn't about, like I said before, it's not about clicks. It's not about likes. It's not about follows. It's about building a relationship with somebody and, a couple of thousand miles away or hundreds of miles away. And, we can still be in a season of life where, we can make the time happen. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you shaved out the time for me and you made this happen. And no, really, because I know it takes time. Like you have a family and you have a business and you have other pursuits. Why don't we do a couple of rapid fire questions?
Cool. I'm down.
Okay. Pizza or tacos?
Pizza. 100%.
Good answer. What are you listening to in your shop?
Okay. Saturdays, I've made it a new rule that if I'm in the shop, I only listen to classic jazz. But that's only for Saturdays. Every time else, if I'm in the shop and I have headphones in, I'm listening to stuff at motivational volume and motivational levels. So, really high tempo, bands like Turnstile, a little bit heavier stuff. But then it's like I'll listen to other stuff, and I'll be in a season of like, oh, I'm only listening to like French house music. It's like so niche. And people are like, "What the heck is this?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, this is French house music. How do you not know this? This is amazing." So it really just depends on my mood, but for the most part, it's like I try and keep the tempo and volume up. Usually because if it's at the end of the day, like today, I get home from work, I eat, I change, and I go work for 3 hours in the shop till like 9 o'clock at night. And there's a lot of days I just don't feel like it, but I have commitments, so it's just like, well, I have a couple cups of coffee and I'll listen to some audio caffeine, I guess. Yeah. I've been listening to this band, Turnstile. I don't know if you know them or not, but
No.
they're pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw them on NPR's Tiny Desk concert.
Yeah, yeah,
Really,
yeah.
really good stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. What about your tool? What's your favorite tool in your toolbox?
I made my own forging hammer, oh boy, 12 years ago. And then I made it because I couldn't find anybody that could make me one the way I wanted it. So I took like way too long to the point where, the time invested, it's debatable whether or not you're going to get that back, but I've been using it so much. It's a 3 pound offset Japanese forging hammer. And I made it. And I'm like, man, this thing's kind of nice. I like it. So I knew somebody out in Barnstable, Boston, Massachusetts, and she's a gun engraver. And I messaged her. I'm like, "Hey, can you engrave my hammer?" And she's like, "No, I don't do hammers. I just do firearms." And I'm like, "Well, I really want like a Cthulhu-based hammer, you know, with a giant squid on it, and the saying Cthulhu waits on the other side." And she was quiet, and she's like, "Yeah, that sounds really cool. When can you send me the hammer?" So she engraved it for me, and
Awesome.
I've been through like four handles on it. It's
Mm.
just a piece of forged 4140, but I keep it polished, and that's probably my favorite tool, just because it's very different than if we're demonstrating. Everybody else has got like a cross peen or the Brian Brazil rounding hammer kind of thing, and I've got this very different looking polished Japanese forging hammer, and it works great. Yeah, that's the one
That's
I like.
awesome.
Every good kung fu movie or like Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. They always have a legendary weapon and it always has a name. So I just, we had to name it. So yeah, it's the Hammer of Cthulhu, but and it's just stupid. It doesn't, the Cthulhu mythos. It's just more of my nerdy side coming out, I guess. There's probably a lot of people who have no idea, but you got to read it, man. It's
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, yeah, I like that.
a little Lovecraft. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. If time and money wasn't an issue, what would you be working on?
The perfect 8-inch chef. And I feel like I'm really, really close. The other component with the 8-inch chef is I started making my own steel because I wanted to get like Shirogami number one, Hitachi number white paper, whatever you want to call it. It's like super high purity, high carbon, and very low alloy, and it's a water quench only because nothing's going to be as fast as the water is going to be able to quench it. So to get it hard, you need a really fast quench. I couldn't find it anywhere at the time, so I started trying to make my own. And I'm now using an induction forge and a crucible, and I'm making my own Hitachi number one and a blue number two to make kitchen knives. So I make the steel, and then I take the steel in an ingot form and then forge it into the knife. So
Wow.
it's kind of time consuming, but it's cool because I can see my progression. Like you lay out five of them, and the one on the left hand is the start, and the fifth one's all the way over here on the right, and the fifth one is like 10 times nicer than the first one that you've done. So I'm
Awesome.
really, really, I'm getting close, is what I would say, but I would really like to just pursue that a little bit further. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds great. All right, last question.
All right.
Who would you like to collaborate with?
Man, that's a long list, honestly. I would like to collaborate with Charlie Ellis. I don't know if you know who Charlie Ellis is.
I
Charlie
don't.
is a man among boys. He's an absolute gentleman, and he's great. I am not on his level, so to speak, but I would like to make him either some steel or some Damascus and send it to him, and then have him make it into a really really cool knife. His most recent claim to fame is he did the Boba Fett kitchen knife. I,
Mm-hmm.
if you Google that, like the amount of time he spent on the handle replicating Boba Fett's helmet
Mm-hmm.
is mind-boggling, and it is the coolest knife ever. So I would like to work with Charlie Ellis. I would like to work with Josh Prince because Josh is super cool, and I've had a chance to talk to him, and he was nothing but really, really nice to me and very free with his time. Well, there's a bunch of people. I'd like to work with Tom Breslin. I don't know. I'm down for a collaboration with anybody, whether it's knife making or something else. I even for a while I was making this steel that had a whole lot of chromium in it, which made it really, really tough. I thought, well, this would be really great if I could make some timber slips and make the great big framing chisels. But I haven't gotten that far yet either, and I have no idea like what the dimensions are or any of that stuff. I just go out and make something. I don't know. I don't want to make a turd. I'll probably spend the time if I have it. Just that kind of stuff. I would make all kinds of stuff and collaborate with everybody. But you look at people like Neil Kamimura, and he collaborates with everybody on the planet, which is very cool because he has such a high degree of influence on the knife making community, and I really can appreciate that because he's worked very, very hard at what he does. So, did that
That's
answer your
awesome.
question?
Yeah.
I hope it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, totally. So where can people find you or your forging pieces?
Yeah, I'm primarily on Instagram at Burning Sky Forge. You can find me there. People have been messaging me um, about a couple of YouTube videos I did for Coal Iron Works. We made some steel using their induction forges that they have. So that was kind of a fluke how that all came about anyway. Yeah, so you can find me. There's a couple of YouTube videos out there with coal iron, and just find me on Instagram.
Awesome. Brett, thanks so much for taking the time out to share with me and share your experience. And thanks for your friendship. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that we were able to connect. And I don't know if you're going to be coming back to New York anytime soon, but if you are, you're welcome. I'd love to go out. We'll get some pizza.
Right on.
We'll get Long Island pizza. We'll get.
You gotta fold it and hold it just right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a requirement. Yeah, no fork and knife.
All
We'll
right.
go in. Yeah, we'll go into Manhattan. We'll go to Brooklyn. We'll go to a couple of other boroughs, and we'll do pizza tasting contest, kind of like that bar stool knucklehead. But we'll do it better.
Portnoy? Yeah, yeah. I appreciate his one bite test. No, you're not a no.
He has rated a lot of good places low, and it's all subjective, and
Well, sure, yeah.
I don't care for his taste.
Okay, so before I go, have you tried the Chicago deep dish pizza?
Ugh.
No,
I have.
it's more like a casserole, really.
With the pull, you got the big pull. It's not pizza. It's cheese
Yeah,
with a little bit of bread on it.
yeah,
Yeah, no.
with some red sauce topping. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, if you're ever in the area, or if you're thinking about heading out west, look me up
Yeah.
because I am definitely open for having you stop here if that ever works out for you. But I
Yeah,
would
man.
definitely love to go and do an East Coast swing sometime.
Yeah.
We're talking about going to Newfoundland by motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
There's the furthest east you can go in
Mm-hmm.
North America is on
Yeah.
some island there in Newfoundland. So
Yeah. I've
we have to
heard
go
of it.
through New York to get there.
Well, New York is pretty big. It's not just the city.
What's
Yeah.
interesting? Maybe you can explain this to me.
Yeah.
When I met a bunch of people at Maker Camp, and they were all from upstate New York, they emphasized the fact that they were from upstate,
Mm-hmm.
not the city.
Mm-hmm.
What's the
So it's big. So you know how
yeah,
you have Pennsylvania? It's long.
yeah,
Well,
yes,
there's a long stretch of New York. So there's Western New York, which
okay,
is like Buffalo. Then there's upstate, and that's anything above Albany.
that's
And
the
then
cutoff.
Albany
Okay,
is central.
okay,
Then there's lower New York. Then
okay.
there's the city, and then
Hmm.
there's Long Island. So there's two. This is real controversial. I hope nobody tunes out for this.
I'm not judging. I just don't understand.
Yeah. So Long Island has 4 counties on it. It's got, if you go from east to west, it's
Hmm.
Suffolk, Nassau. I live in Nassau.
Okay,
Then there's Queens and Kings. Queens and Kings are boroughs. Boroughs are a part of the city. There's
yeah,
five boroughs in the city.
okay,
There's the Bronx. There's Manhattan,
right.
Staten Island, and I'm using my middle finger for Staten Island.
I'll read into that. Okay,
Yeah. Then there's Queens, and
All
then
right.
there's Brooklyn. Brooklyn is Kings County.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
yeah, so there's 4 counties, 2 of them are boroughs, 5 boroughs in the city. So it kind of like matches up like that.
I see. Okay.
The Bronx is the only borough that is on the continental United States. The other are all islands. Staten Island is its own island. Manhattan is New York County, which is
Okay.
its own island. And then Brooklyn and Queens are both on Long Island. But yes, New York State is hammered out by there's downstate,
Okay.
which is in between the city and Albany area.
All right.
Albany area where East Durham is central New York, and then
Okay.
there's western New York, and then there's upstate. And upstate is more like Fredonia, and it's up by Canada and Vermont.
Yeah. Um, it was very surprising for me to go to East Durham and have all the Irish stuff there because it's all prevalent very much here because the university is just like 10 minutes down the road from me. So there's all
Oh,
sorts of
Notre
Irish.
Dame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so all the you pull in and it's like
The
kind
Irish
of like
Alps.
right. Yeah.
That's what they
But
call it, the Irish Alps.
really, yeah,
Yeah. So
that makes perfect sense for me.
when I was a kid, my mother is firstborn of Irish immigrants. My dad is second or third generation Irish, but my dad did that DNA thing, and he's 99% Irish. Meanwhile, I told him, "Why did you spend the money? I could have just told you what bog you were from because you're on the cover of the Lucky Charms box, Dad. Like, what are you doing?"
That's fantastic.
When I was a kid, we went up to East Durham and we were there, a couple of summers. And I forget which place we went to, but I think Hal Roach was doing his comedy show there. It was in the bar. I was 4. I was falling asleep. My sister brought me to the cabin to go. But yeah, it's they got a big St. Patrick's Day parade. The Catholic church there is Our Lady of Knock.
Yeah, the guy who owns our shop, his last name is Conyers, and
Mm-hmm.
apparently there's like a big Conyers from Durham. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's yeah, Durham. There's a big cathedral there, and there's a big sword there. And he and I have talked for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. He wants to build the Conyers falchion, which is on display in this cathedral in Durham, England. And he's got all the dimensions on it and stuff. I would actually like to go there and
Is that
see
like
the thing.
Connor? Is that?
A falchion is like a giant machete. I think it's like that shape.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
single edge, and it's got a great big belly on it for like all this weight forward for like chopping. And I guess like in 1200 something, some guy slew a venomous worm, which I think maybe it's a snake. I don't know. There's like a whole big legend behind this thing, and
St.
every time
Patrick when he pushed the snakes out of Ireland.
no, he killed some giant venomous snake, and every time there is a new bishop in Durham, he is presented with the Conyers falchion, and then with it comes the whole provenance of the story and everything. So he's always talking about that, but it was really cool for me to see all the Irish stuff and not be, right down the street from the university. So it was cool. I dig it. Yeah,
Cool.
good stuff.
Did you see the Gangs of New York, the movie?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
The
If you
five
want,
5 points or whatever that is.
yeah, I'll bring you down. It's now Chinatown, but I'll bring you to Old St. Pat's, and they got catacombs there, and that's the
What?
original St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I've always wanted to go back. I was there in 1993 when they
totally
bombed it.
different.
When they bombed the Trade Center the first time, they put like
You were there,
well, I was there like a week after it happened.
really?
So yeah, it was April maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we couldn't get into the World Trade Center because there was like the whole street was blocked off and everything. They
Yeah,
had just blown up like a Ryder truck in the parking garage
yeah,
in the basement or
yeah,
something crazy like that. And I still
yeah.
have a photograph. I'm standing on Wall Street looking in between the buildings. And I got both the towers perfectly in frame. It was great.
Oh, very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
I've always wanted to go back and visit Ground Zero. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of stuff that I'd like to do, but you just got to get the time and make it happen, right?
Yeah. Well, let me know. I'd be happy to bring you around.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Well, make sure that you get the FXR. The missus will understand later, maybe, when she realizes just how happy this makes you. I am told that's one of the best designs that they've ever made for
Yeah,
for riding.
Yeah, especially in that area. So, and a buddy of mine told me, he goes, even if you don't take it, buy it and have it shipped back, and I'll buy it from you. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, very cool.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna log off, and then we can keep chatting if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thanks again to Brett for joining me on Create and Connect. It's always nice to get to talk with an old friend and share some of the memories that you had together. And I want to invite you, the listener, if you enjoy these stories, to share it with a friend or anybody else who would like to join in the maker community. As Jimmy DeResta says, all boats rise with the high tide. So there's plenty of room for all of us. And remember, keep creating, keep connecting.